right, laptop's recording, phone's recording as well. Beautiful. This feels weird. I haven't done a coding tutorial video in a while. I've just been so busy with work. As you can see from my email, I'm already 7 days late. But yeah, so today I'm going to be catching up on the 30 Days of ML challenge organized by Kaggle. I'm going to be, in this video, I'm going to be catching up on the first week of the challenge, which is from day 1 until day 7. So if you're not familiar with this particular challenge, I think it's new, and I believe how it's structured is the first 2 weeks of the challenge. So last week as well as this week, we're exposed to more of the tutorial courses that is offered by Kaggle. So for last week and for this particular video, I'm going to be catching up on the Python course. And so I just wanted to use this opportunity to document my journey, my progress, and I think it's a good reason, excuse to refresh my Python knowledge as well, because I've just been using a lot of R and SQL at work. I haven't used too much of Python, so I think this is a great opportunity for me to just refresh and just retrain and refresh my knowledge on Python, since I haven't used it in a while. But yeah, so this is the email that you would have received if you sign up for this challenge. I'm sure I think the submission is closed at this point, but yeah, I'm sure they'll do it again, considering how popular it is. But yeah, so this is the email that you would have gotten if you sign up for this challenge. Again, just to remind you, this is a week late. I've just been hammered by work. I haven't gone around to do it, but today I'm finally going to do it. But yeah, so this is day 1 to day 7. So day 1 we have level up to contributor. I believe this is the progression system that is within Kaggle. So Kaggle has different levels that you can progress. So day 1 is pretty simple. And day 2 is Python lesson 1 all the way down to Python lesson 7. So this is pretty much every single lesson that is within the Python course itself that Kaggle offers, which we'll look at later on. But yeah, just wanted to sort of give you guys an overview of what the first week was, if you didn't manage to sign up for the program, but also what I'm going to be going through in this video. All right, so let's move on to day number 1. Let's start with day number 1. I'm not going to go through probably in detail day number 1 because it's just leveling up to contributor. I just want to perhaps share with you the Kaggle progression system, just in case you're new to Kaggle. But yeah, as I said, there's like 4 different progression levels that you can get at Kaggle. So you start off in, but yeah, is it 4? 5. So you start off in novice, and then you end up in a grandmaster. So for the first day, the goal is just to go from novice. So everyone, if you register on Kaggle, you automatically get a novice level. So the first day is just pretty much just making sure you satisfy all 4 of these criteria in order to level up to contributor. But I'm not going to go through in this video. I'm sure you can just go through it yourself, run one notebook or script, make one competition or task submission, make one comment, give one upvote. Yeah, as long as you do all 4 of those things, you'll easily level up to contributor. But yeah, so that's pretty much what it is for day 1. I'm just going to jump straight into day 2 all the way down to day 7, which is where we'll cover all of the Python lessons that's offered by Kaggle. So let's just start there. So day 2 is Hello Python. Make sure you go to the left-hand side and go down to courses. That's where you'll find the Python courses. So yeah, so I've already completed this Python course a while ago. So for you, if you haven't done it before, it should be under the Explore courses section. But for me, since I've completed, I'm just going to go to complete. And so for day 2 until day 7, we're doing the Python course. So let me just go in. All right, so let's begin with Hello Python. So that's since that's the first thing that we have to do for day 2. So for this video, I'm just going to walk you through it. It's just going to be casual. I'm not trying hard anymore, but I hope along the journey, along this video, I'll try to share as much as I can. And it's a good, I think I don't want to be too serious. I feel like it's good that you guys see the more transparent version. I'm not going to edit this video too much as well, because I feel like it's something valuable to just like walk through a notebook for the first time and sort of introduce to you guys what I know, as well as at the same time refresh on my memory. All right, enough talking. Let's just jump right into it. So hello Python, this is the first lesson in this Python course. So let's just begin. Blah blah blah. I'm just going to skip through it. This is some introduction of how the Python name came about. All right, so here comes the first section. So I think this is pretty simple. If you have any experience in programming before, you know that this is an assignment. So we are declaring a variable called spam amount, and we're declaring and we're assigning the value of 0 to that particular variable. And for this, we're doing addition. So spam amount equals spam amount plus 4. So this is actually, we're updating the variable. So it used to be 0, right? So spam amount used to be 0, and then we plus 4, we want to add 4 to it, and then we want to update spam amount again. So this time around, spam amount is not 0 anymore because we've already plus 4, and then we've updated it. So now it should be 4, and this is an if statement. So an if statement is pretty self-explanatory. So if it's like a condition, so you have to set a condition. If spam amounts satisfy this particular condition, print this. So like it's kind of like telling someone, if it rains, remember to bring your umbrella. So you have to set a condition. If that condition is satisfied, what do you need to do? Yeah, so programming, this is one of the fundamental concepts that you get your hand around with in programming. So that's the third piece, and then we have the final bit, which is Viking song. So this is a new variable called Viking song, and what are we doing with Viking song? We are multiplying this string called spam by the spam amount, which is 4. So if I'm not mistaken, this should print spam 4 times. Yeah, so we have 1, 2, 3 print statements here. Before we show the hidden output, let's just sort of summarize and see if we get the hidden output correct. So print spam amount, the first print statement, this is going to be 0 because that's what we assign it to at the very beginning. For the second print statement, if spam is greater than 0, which it is because we've already updated spam amount to be 4, which is 4 is greater than 0, and so therefore we will print this. So the first one we will print 0, the second one we will print this particular string, I don't want any spam. And then for the very last print statement, we have spam times spam amount, which is 4. So we want to print spam 4 times. So let's just check and see if we've got the same output. Yep. So everything is consistent with our expectations. So 0, but I don't want spam is the second print statement, and then spam string repeated 4 times is the fourth one. All right, cool. Starting off very simple and easy. Just warming up now. Yeah, so like I said, this is called a variable assignment. We're assigning a value to a variable. We can also assign a string. A string is like a sentence. You can also do that in Python as well. What is it saying here? Yeah, so like we don't have to declare a spam amount. I think this is some yeah, so the reason why Python is so popular, especially amongst new beginners, is it's very user-friendly. Like, I'm sure like some other programming languages, you have to declare the variable first before you can use it. But like Python is so straightforward that you can just like name the variable that you want, and then you assign whatever that you want to it. Like there's no need to do any pre-assignment, or like you have to declare a variable early on before you can use it. It's very straightforward. Yeah, it's very easy to use, which is why Python, I think it's very popular, especially if you're a new beginner. All right, so I'm just gonna skip past this. Yeah, we've already talked about this. Function calls. Yeah, so print is an example of a function. So a function is something like I like to think of it as like equipment or like a machinery. I think the best way to think about it is like a blender that's used to make a smoothie. So a blender, you probably have to So a function takes in inputs, and then it will transform the input and then spit out an output. So I like to think of it as like a blender if you're trying to make a smoothie. So a function is like your blender. So a blender would take in your fruits, your vegetables in order to make that smoothie. So for example, you would have to put in your bananas, you have to put in your berries, you have to put in your milk into that blender, and then the blender would blend your fruits together with your milk and then produce a smoothie as a result of that. So like that's how a function works. So a function takes in an input or a range of inputs, and in that blender scenario, it will be your fruits, your vegetables, your milk, and then you'll produce smoothie or a new output. So a function will spit out an output based on what sort of transformations you want the function to do. Yeah, so that's pretty much what a function does. So print is an example of a function. Print is actually a built-in function that's already in Python itself. So print, yeah, pretty self-explanatory. If you print something, means it'll show up on your terminal. Once you print, you can print a string, you can print a number. Yeah, so the print, it just helps you print a certain thing on your screen. That's what print does. But I'm sure, like, I think there's one particular course that, yeah, so the second lesson is actually looking at functions. So we'll discuss more of that later. But now I'm just going to keep going. And if you read my most recent article, I talk about how important commenting is, especially in the real world, because when you're working in teams, your code will get reviewed by other people, and so it's very important for you to write comment. But in terms of the program itself, it doesn't affect it in any way. Python doesn't see anything that is after the hash symbol. So this is more of a sort of professional, what you would do in a real world, just to inform other people, especially if they're reviewing your code, if they're if they're looking for mistakes, if your manager is trying to understand what you're doing. Comment is the comment is a great way to do it. Yeah, it's important that you start practicing and building a habit of writing comments, especially if you're doing a very sort of complicated analysis, a very complicated calculation, just to remind yourself, but more importantly, let other people know what exactly are you doing. And comments are a great way to do that. And in Python, the way you write a comment is using the hash symbol. So you write a hash, and then whatever comment that you want to leave behind that. So yeah, so when you run this particular program, Python's not going to see the first line because this first line is actually a comment. Python will only recognize this second line here. So that's what a comment is. Let's just move past this. Yeah, we've already talked about this. This is an if statement. If spam amount is greater than 0, we want to print this. And then Viking song, yeah, it's just showing what a print statement is. Yeah, we won't talk about conditionals until later on. Sure. The colon at the end of. Oh yeah, so another thing worth mentioning is this semicolon thing. So this is just a syntax that you have to get used to. Python, every program does it differently. So for Python is once you set a condition, you have to tell the program what you want to do if it satisfies that particular condition. And so for Python, it's this semicolon. If you're using other programming languages, it might be different. Actually, not it might, it is different. So for Python, since we're coding in Python, let's just remember that it is a semicolon. All right. I'm just going to skip past this. I think, yeah, this is pretty simple. All right, so numbers and arithmetic in Python. Spam amount equals to 0. All right, so this is, remember when I said print is a function? So here we see another type of function being used. This new function is called type. So type will print out what data type a particular variable is. So we have, in programming, we have a couple of very popular, like, not popular, sure, popular data types. So for example, we have integer, we have float, which is decimal, we have string, we have boolean, which yeah, so boolean is just like true and false. Yeah, so different types of like data type. And yeah, so the type function will enable you to check what data type it is. So for example, here we're checking spam, and because we assign the value of 0 to spam, and 0 is an integer, so we'll print out an int. So this is a decimal, 19.95, so it'll print out a float. Yeah, yeah, what else? I think that's pretty much it. All right, so the next thing that we have is just a table of all the numerical computations that you can do with Python. So I think the first four are pretty straightforward. So we have addition, subtraction, multiplication, and true division. And they're done via these four symbols here. But what I think it's worth paying attention to is the next three. So we have floor division, modulus, and exponentiation. Yeah, I think they'll show us a couple of examples. So I'm just going to skip past this for now. So here we have two examples. So 5 divided by 2 is 2.5. 6 divided by 2 is 3. That's pretty straightforward. So this is where we use something called floor division. So floor division is a quotient of A and B, meaning A divided by B. But here we want to remove the fractional parts, meaning we only want to take the whole numbers. So here, if we do 5//2, the answer is 2 because instead of 2.5, we want to get rid of the 0.5, but instead we only want to take the whole number. And 6//2, that's just 3, which is the same as the one above. All right, next we have order of operations. So this is, I think we all taught this in primary school, maybe. So 8 minus 3 is 5, 5 plus 2 is 7. That's pretty straightforward. Here, because multiplication is ahead of addition and subtraction when it comes to order of operations, so we need to do multiplication first, and Python is smart enough to recognize this. So 4 times 2 is 8, minus 3 plus 8 is 5, and so that's the output that we get here. Sometimes the default order of operation isn't what we want. So what is it trying to do here? So we have a variable called height, centimeters, 25, my height centimeters, 190. So here we want to calculate the total height meters by taking 190 divided by 100 and then plus 25. 100, that's 1.9. So what's wrong here? My height cm is 190. 190 divided by 100 is 1.9. 26.9. Is that not correct? 26.9. It is, right? Okay. So instead of 26.9, we want to add first. So so if you want to prevent something like this from happening, I always encourage people to just use, if you're unsure, just use parentheses, because parentheses will always be prioritized. So here we actually want to do our addition first instead of the division. So we want to add the two height measurements and then divide by 100. So here we're doing 25 plus 195. Once we do that addition, we want to divide by 100, and so the height meter is actually 2.15. So it's different from if we do this without the parentheses. All right, cool. So more functions. We'll introduce some more functions. We have two functions that are being introduced here, min and max, which returns the minimum and maximum of their arguments. So here we want to calculate the minimum of these three numbers, 1, 2, and 3. So unsurprisingly, the minimum of those three numbers is 1. And on the other hand, maximum returns the maximum value of a list of numbers. So here the maximum number is 3. So pretty straightforward so far. So more functions, abs. So abs returns the absolute value of an argument. So absolute is like your modular sign. So the two line in maths. That's the notation that we use in maths. But what it is it will return, if it's a positive number, it will return the positive number as itself. But if you put a negative number in a modulus, it will return the positive number. So this is exactly what is being reflected here. So abs 32, because this is a positive number, it will just return 32. But the second one, this is actually a negative number, but what absolute value does is it will return the positive number. So we'll get rid of the minus sign. Yeah, so pretty straightforward so far. Nothing too crazy. So this is what we're doing. What we're doing here is we're changing the data type. So here 10 is an integer, but we wanted to turn it into a float. So there's a function called float, which enables you to change an integer to a float. So here it becomes, instead of a 10, it's a 10.0, which is a float. Here we have a 3.33, which is a floating number. We want to change it to an integer, so you'll automatically take the whole number, which is just this number 3 here before the decimal point. And then we can also do int. So this is actually a string, so this might not look too it doesn't stand out like the first time you look at it, but this is actually a string in Python because we have an open what do you call it, open comma, open I don't know what it's called, but yeah, so this thing here, so if you put this is actually a string in Python. So here we're turning this particular string to an integer, so instead of a string 807, which is not wrong, but it's in a different data type. So here we're turning 807 into an integer, because we're doing an addition here, right? We can't do addition with a string, so we have to turn it into an integer first. Once it's being turned into an integer, now it becomes an 807 in integer form. We plus 1 is 808, which is what it's being printed here. All right, cool. So that pretty much sums up this lesson. So every lesson you'll end with like an exercise. So let's just start an exercise. I'll walk it through with you guys, and yeah, maybe I'll get to practice my Python as well, which has been a while. I haven't used Python. Yeah, while that is loading, I think I'm pretty tired at this point. I think once I finish this exercise, I'm gonna call it a day, and then maybe tomorrow or like the day after, I'm gonna come back and continue. But yeah, so I'll finish this one, and then I'll try to film day 2 to day 7, maybe tomorrow, hopefully definitely the day after, because I'm actually taking a leave on Thursday, so that's going to give me some time to record. But yeah, so anyway, yeah, so the first one's pretty simple. So here, if you're completely new to Kaggle, if you don't know how how this like notebook works, is there's 2 ways you can run a cell. So what a cell is this thing here that's like grayish. So what you can do is you can click this play button on the left hand side, but what I normally do is I do Control Enter, and that's going to run the cell. Yeah, my laptop is extremely slow. Let's just wait for this. All right, cool. All right, so now we've printed 2 things. So the first, so these 2 are strings because as I said from early on, we have these things. This is actually a string. So we're printing a string here that says you've successfully run some Python code, and then a second string that says congratulations. All right, cool. This one, I don't know what it's trying to do. Probably just some like setup procedures. Just run it. It doesn't really matter. All right, so what is your favorite color? To complete this question, create a variable called color in the cell below with an appropriate value. And then the function called Q0check, this is going to check our number. All right, so let's just create a variable called color, and then my personal favorite color is blue, so I'm just gonna type blue. So there's a hint here that says that you can either use single or double quotation. I'm just going to use single. So what I'm doing here is I'm assigning the color variable to my favorite color, which is blue. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Does it ask us to print it? No, I think it's just assigning. Yeah, so let's just go ahead and run the cell. All right, cool. Yeah, we got it right. Let's move on to the next one. If you're stuck, you can also run like hints and solutions. Just get rid of the hash symbol, because right now it's in a comment. As we've saw from early on, the hash is a comment. So if you want to look at the solution, you just get rid of this, and then you just hit Control Enter. Or if you don't want to look at the full solution, if you just want the hint, you can run the first one instead. Yeah, just get rid of the hash symbol and then just run the cell. All right, so next one, we're back with the numerical stuff that we were looking at. Create a variable called radius, which is half of the diameter. So here we were given 2 variables that they've already created for us for early on. So the first one is called pi, which is 3.14159. We have another variable called diameter, which takes the value of 3. So now we want to create a new variable called radius. So I'm just going to assign radius. And we want radius to be half a diameter. So this is pretty straightforward. Diameter /2. Now create a variable called area using the formula of area of the circle. So the formula for area of a circle is pi times the radius, radius squared. All right, cool. So area is the name of the variable that we want, and the formula is pi times radius, which we have assigned, square, which I believe it's this, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so exponentiation is two multiply symbol, two star symbol. Yeah, so this is basically saying a raised to the power of b because we want radius square. So this is radius square times pi, which gives us the formula of the area. So let's just go ahead and run this cell, see if it's correct or not. Cool. So we've got it correct. Beautiful. Let's just move on. What do we have here? So we have a list, well, two lists. We have a list called A, another list called B. List A is 1, 2, 3, and B is 3, 2, 1. I'm so bad at like reading instructions. I just want to like dive into it, but like I think you have to read. If code goes here, swap the values to which A and B refer if you get stuck. Isn't this just like A equals B? Is that am I stupid? Oh, no. Yeah, so you can't do this because if we just do A equals B, both of them will be the same, right? Because you're assigning B to A and we haven't changed B. So I think what we need to do is we need to create a temporary to store whatever A is. So let's just create a new variable called temp, so which is temporary. We want to create this temp just to store our original A before we change it. And then we want to change A to B, so we want to assign B to A. And then we want to change B to the original A, which we've stored using the variable called temp. I think this should work, right? All right, cool. Beautiful. All right, so let's just move on. Now it's 3a. Add parentheses to the following expression so that it evaluates to 1. Evaluates to 1. Okay. So I think we have to add parentheses here because 5 minus 3 is 2. 2 for division 2, it's 1. Pretty simple. Is that correct or is that? Yeah, all right. 3b, questions like this one. With the spicy pepper, it's a bit harder. Okay, add parentheses to the following expression so that it evaluates to 0. How do I add the 0? One thing that stands out to me is like the -1 and +1. I feel like we should do something with that. And then with the multiplication, because if you multiply a number by 0, it's just 0, right? Oh, yeah. So yeah, sorry, I was my brain wasn't working. So yeah, like going back to the point where I said like it's so my intuition was actually correct. I was just, my brain just not working. Yeah, so like I was thinking anything times 0 would get 0. Turns out I put my parentheses in the wrong place. So what you want to do is actually put your parentheses like here. Yeah, because 1 plus 1 is 2, so 2 minus 2 is 0. And then we want to put parentheses here as well. So what this is 1 plus 1 is 2. And then we want to add another parentheses here as well. So 1 plus 1 is 2, and then 2 minus 2 is 0. 0 times 5 is 0. So I think this is correct. Yeah, beautiful. All right, that took me longer than I should, but it's okay. All right, let's just move on. Alice, Bob, and Carol have agreed to pool their Halloween candy and split it evenly among themselves. For the sake of their friendship, any candies left over will be smashed. For example, if they bring home 91 candies, they'll take 30 and smash 1. Yeah, so they want to have equal number of candies. All right, cool. Write an arithmetic expression below to calculate how many candies they must smash for a given haul. All right, so for example, your code goes here, replace the right-hand side of this assignment with an expression involving, okay. All right, so we want the remainder, right? Which means we need to take the, what's it called? Is it called modulus? Let me scroll up to see the table again. Yeah, so it's the modulus, which is represented using this percentage sign here. So this is the integer remain after the division. So I think what we need to do is we need to sum up the total number of candies for these 3 people, and then we're going to mod it by 3. So divide it by 3, and then whatever the remainder is, that's the number of candy that we have to smash. So yeah, so Alice, why is my keyboard in caps? So Alice candies plus Bob candies plus Carol candies, and then mod 3. I think that's pretty much it. Yep, beautiful. I think that's it. All right, cool. So I think I'm gonna end the video here. I'm gonna get some rest. It's been a long day for me, but by promise, I'm gonna I'll definitely finish week 1 this week, and I'll try to upload it as soon as I can. But yeah, I hope you enjoy this video. I'm still considering whether or not to upload this by itself or in the full, just as a week 1 as a whole. I'm still deciding that. But in any event, I hope you enjoy this video. And yeah, subscribe to my channel, like this video if you haven't already. It really, really supports me. And I really enjoy like doing all of this stuff and just like sharing and walking all this like tutorial with you guys. It's been, yeah, it's really fun for me. But yeah, so make sure you subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in my next video.